So thank you all for joining us tonight. Tonight should be our final night with the Bardo Thodol, and we're going to be doing the recitation for the elucidation and the appearance of the wrathful, fierce deities in the intermediate state of reality. So we're going to alternate reading this, myself and Brendan and Bernie, and Alex is here to listen and make comments with everybody else. So, you all on YouTube, thank you all for joining us, and we hope that you continue to join us. And we're going to start with the Samadhi Raja Sutra next week. So, that's the King of the Samadhi Sutra. We'll start very soon. So, we're going to start with the habitual tendencies. The natural liberation of habitual tendencies, the ten branch prayer, and purification. So, Brendan, when you're ready, if you will please begin.
Natural liberation of habitual tendencies, the 10-branched prayer for the accumulation of merit. Visualize in the space before you the three precious jewels and the deities of the 100 enlightened families, and then recite as follows. The branch of taking refuge. Om, ah, hum. I respectfully take refuge, inseparably, from now until enlightenment, in the infinitude of peaceful and wrathful deities. The conqueror is gone to bliss. The three precious jewels, the meditational deities. The ocean of dakinis and the assembly of oath-bound protectors within the infinite Buddha fields reaching to the limits of space. I request the infinite peaceful and wrathful deities of the 10 directions and 4 times, compassionate emanations embodying discriminative awareness and skillful means, pervading the vast infinite space of reality's expanse, to come to this place for the sake of all living beings. The branch of requesting the deities to be seated. I request that meditational deities be seated here on sun, moon, and lotus cushions, symbolizing skillful means, discriminative awareness, and their stainless union. Upon their bejeweled thrones, fashioned in the form of lions and so forth, and an attitude of unblemished supreme delight. Within this mandala of pristine cognition, which is the natural purity of phenomenal existence. The branch of paying homage. I bow down to the assembly of the peaceful and wrathful conquerors, to the father and mother deities, and all their offspring, whose essence is the pristine cognition of Samantabhadra, displayed in uncorrupted bliss in the secret womb of Samantabhadri. The branch of making offerings. I request the peaceful and wrathful conquerors, the oceans of those gone to bliss, to partake of these inestimable outer, inner, and secret offerings, both those actually arrayed and those mentally emanated, which are offered for the benefit of all living beings. The branch of the confession of negativity. I acknowledge and remorsefully confess all my negative obscurations and all my habitual tendencies of body, speech, and mind, beginninglessly influenced by the 3 poisons, which are the accumulating causes for rebirth among the lower states of suffering and cyclic existence. The branch of sympathetic rejoicing. I rejoice with great delight in the Buddha fields of supreme bliss, when all phenomenal existence is recognized as the pervasion of reality's expanse. I rejoice in all compassionate acts and their merits and in their altruistic intention, and in all deeds that are the source of merit and pristine cognition. The branch of turning the wheel of the sacred teachings. I exhort the teachers throughout the fields of the 10 directions, who are as numerous as atoms, to stir from their meditative commitments for the sakes of all sentient beings, and to turn the wheel of the sacred teachings, thus entirely pervading the reaches of space, The branch of requesting the Buddhas not to enter nirvana. I beseech you, O teachers, infinite Buddhas without exception, to remain present and not to pass into parinirvana, and to continue to exact deeds of existence, extensive benefit for the sake of beings, until the world systems of cyclic existence have been emptied. The branch of the dedication of merit to the unsurpassed greater vehicle. By the power of whatever past, present, and future virtues I accumulate, may all sentient beings throughout the furthest reaches of space mature into worthy recipients of the unsurpassed greater vehicle, and then swiftly attain the status of the infinite, peaceful, and wrathful deities. As the 10-branched prayer is concluded, the Lama visualizes that all the objects of refuge melt into light and then gradually dissolve into the crowns of each of the attending persons, including the dying person and himself. Natural liberation of habitual tendencies, purification. Om Ahom Bodhicitta Mahasukha Jana Datu Om Rulu Rulu Hom Bayu Hum. From the field of reality's expanse, uncreated and pure, within a celestial palace which is a seminal point of light, pure, unceasing, and radiant, through the natural expressive power of one's own mind, uncontrived and empty. Intrinsic awareness, radiant and empty, arises in the form of Vajrasattva, seated upon a bejeweled throne adorned with lotus, sun, and moon cushions. The right hand holds a Vajra at the heart, symbolizing the union of awareness of absolute wisdom and emptiness. The left hand supports a bell resting on the hip, symbolizing the union of wisdom, appearances, and emptiness. And the head is adorned with a garland of perfect Buddhas, representing the 5 enlightened families of those gone to bliss. Thus, Vajrasattva manifests in the form of the Buddha body of perfect resource, exquisitely adorned with silks and jewels, seated in the posture of royal ease, with the right leg extended and the left drawn in. Radiating at the heart is the seed symbol Hom, surrounded by the 100-syllable mantra. Om Basra Sattva Samaya Manu Palaya Basra Sattva Tenopa Tishta Drido Me Bava Sutokeo Me Bava Supokeo Me Bava Anuraktu Me Bava Sarva Siddhi Me Prayacha Sarva Karma Sutsa Me Sitanshriya Kuru Hung Ha 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 ho Bhagawan Sarva Tathagata Basra Mama Mutsa Basri Bhava Mahasamaya Sattva.
Please repeat that twice.
Om Basra Sattva Samaya Manupalaya Basra Sattva Tenopa Tishta Drido Me Bava Sutokayo Me Bava Supokayo Me Bava Anurakto Me Bava Sarva Siddhi Me Prayacha Sarva Karma Sutsa Me Sitanshriya Kuru Hung Ha 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 ho Bhagawan Sarva Tathagata Basra Mama Mutsa Basri Baba Mahasamaya Sattva. Om Basra Sattvaya Samaya Manupalaya Basra Sattva Tenopa Tishta Drita Me Bava Sutokayo Me Bava Supokayo Me Bava Anuraktu Me Bava Sarva Siddhi Me Prayatsa Sarva Karma Sutsa Me Sitan Shriya Kuru Hung Ha 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 ho Bhagawan Sarva Tathagata Basre Mama Mutsa Basri Bava Mahasamaya Sattva.
Very good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So now we turn to part 2 in the text, page 123. So, Bernie, when you're ready, if you will begin.
Okay. An elucidation of the appearance of the wrathful deities in the intermediate state of reality. Herein is contained an elucidation of the arising of the intermediate state of the wrathful deities. Eighth day, natural transformation of fundamental ignorance into pure awareness, natural transformation of mental constructs associated with the sensory spectrum of phenomena. O child of Buddha nature, Rikibu, Jinpa Zangpo, listen without distraction. Although the intermediate state of the peaceful deities did previously arise within you, you did not recognize it. So now you have wandered through the succession of pathways to here. Now on the eighth day, the assembly of wrathful blood-drinking deities will arise. Recognize them and do not be distracted, O child of Buddha nature, Rikibu Jinpa Zangpo. He who is called great, glorious Buddha Haruka will now arise vividly manifesting before you within your own brain. His body, blazing in a mass of light, is dark brown in color, having 3 heads, 6 arms, and 4 legs, which are firmly set apart. His right face is white, the left red, and the central one dark brown. His 9 eyes are fixed in a fearsome, wrathful gaze. His eyebrows are quivering like lightning. His fangs are bared and gleaming, and he is laughing loudly, uttering the sounds of alala and maha and shoo like whistles in loud, piercing cries. The golden auburn hair of his head blazes and rears upward. Sun and moon discs, black serpents and dry skulls adorn each of his heads, and black snakes and fresh skulls form a garland around his body. In his 6 hands he holds, on the right in the first hand a wheel, in the middle one an axe, and on the left hand a sword, and to the left in his first hand he holds a bell, in the middle one a plowshare, and in the last a skull. The female consort, Buddha Krodheshvari, is embracing his body. His right hand is clasped around Her right hand is clasped around his neck, and her left offering a skull cup filled with blood to his mouth. Amidst loud pounding, palatal sounds of tuk chom and an echoing roar like the reverberation of thunder, the fire of the pristine cognition blazes from the fiery, indestructible presence of their bodies, and they stand together with one leg extended and the other drawn in on the throne supported by Garudas. Do not be afraid, do not be terrified, and do not be awed. Recognize this to be the Buddha body of your own intrinsic awareness. These are your meditational deities, so do not be terrified. This in reality is the transcendent Lord Vairocana and his consort, so do not be afraid. Recognition and liberation will occur simultaneously.
The ninth day.
Right.
The ninth day, the natural transformation of aversion into mirror-like pristine cognition, the natural transformation of mental constructs associated with sound. O child of Buddha nature, Rikibu Kunchok Pema Dorje, listen without distraction. He who is called the transcendent Lord Vajraharuka of the Vajra family of blood-drinking fierce deities will arise from the eastern direction of your brain and appear before you. His body is dark blue in color, with 3 faces, 6 arms, and 4 legs, firmly set apart. His right face is white, the left red, and the central face is blue. In his 6 hands he holds, on the right, in the first hand, a vajra, in the middle one, a skull cup, and in the last hand, an axe. And to the left, in his first hand, he holds a bell, in the middle one, a skull cup, and the last, a plowshare. The female consort Vajra Krodheshvari is embracing his body, her right hand clasped around his neck, and her left offering a skull cup filled with blood to his mouth. Do not be afraid. Do not be terrified, and do not be awed. Recognize this to be the Buddha body of your own awareness. These are your own meditational deities, so do not be terrified. This in reality is the transcendent Lord, Vajrasattva Ascobia, and his consort. So do not fear them. Be devoted to them. Recognition and liberation will occur simultaneously.
Tenth day. Natural transformation of pride into pristine cognition of sameness. Natural transformation of mental constructs associated with smell. O child of Buddha nature, Rikibu, listen without distraction. On the 10th day, he who was called Ratna Haruka of the Ratna family of blood-drinking deities will arise from the southern direction of your brain and appear before you. His body is dark yellow in color with 3 faces, 6 arms, and 4 legs, firmly set apart. His right face is white, the left red, and the central face is a burning dark yellow. In his 6 hands he holds on the right, in the first hand a jewel, and the middle one a katvanga, and in the last hand a club, and to the left, in his first hand, he holds a bell, and the middle one a skull cup, and in the last a trident. The female consort Ratna Krodeshvari is embracing his body, her right hand clasped around his neck, and her left offering a skull cap filled with blood to his mouth. Do not be afraid, do not be terrified, and do not be awed. Recognize this to be the Buddha body of your own awareness. These are your own meditational deities, so do not be terrified. This in reality is the transcendent Lord Ratnasambhava and his consort, so do not fear them, be devoted to them. Recognition and liberation will occur simultaneously.
11th day. Natural transformation of attachment into pristine cognition of discernment. Natural transformation of mental constructs associated with taste. O child of Buddha nature, Rikibu, Jinpa Zangpo, listen without distraction. On the 11th day, he who is called the transcendent Lord Padma Haruka of the Padma family of blood-drinking deities will arise from the western direction of your brain in union with his consort and appear vividly before you. His body is dark red in color with 3 faces, 6 arms, and 4 legs, formally set apart. His right face is white, the left blue, and the central face is dark red. In his 6 hands he holds in the first hand a lotus, in the middle one a kadvanga, and in the last hand a mace, and to the left in his first hand he holds a bell, in the middle one a blood-spilled skull, and in the last a small drum. The female consort Padma Krodeshvari is embracing his body, her right hand clasped around his neck, and her left offering a skull cup filled with blood to his mouth. Do not be afraid, do not be terrified, and do not be awed. Contemplate them with joy. Recognize this to be the Buddha body of your own awareness. These are your own meditational deities, so do not be terrified. This in reality is the transcendent Lord Amitabha and his consorts, so do not fear them. Be devoted to them. Recognition and liberation will occur simultaneously.
The 12th day, the natural transformation of jealousy into pristine cognition of attainment. The natural transformation of mental constructs associated with touch. O child of Buddha nature, Rikibu Kunchok Pema Dorje, listen without distraction. When the 12th day comes, he who is called the transcendent Lord Karma Haruka of the Karma family of blood-drinking deities will arise from the northern direction of your brain in union with his consort and appear vividly before you. His body is dark green in color, with 3 faces, 6 arms, and 4 legs firmly set apart. His right face is white, the left blue, and the central face is an awesome dark green. In his 6 hands he holds on the right and the first hand a sword, in the middle one a kadvanga, and in the last hand a mace, And to the left, in his first hand, he holds a bell. In the middle one, a skull, and in the last, a plowshare. The female consort Karma Krodheshvari is embracing his body, her right hand clasped around his neck, and her left offering a skull cup filled with blood to his mouth. Do not be afraid. Do not be terrified. Do not be awed. Recognize this to be the Buddha body of your own awareness. These are your own meditational deities. So do not be terrified. This in reality is the transcendent Lord Amagoga City and his consort. So do not fear them. Be devoted to them. Recognition and liberation will occur simultaneously.
The 13th day. Natural transformation of the mental constructs associated with the 8 classes of consciousness. Actions outside the pit of cyclic existence. O child of Buddha nature, Rikibu, listen without distraction. The great Gari, Madara, will now be emerging from within your own brain and appearing before you. Do not be afraid. From the eastern direction of your brain, the white Gari, holding a human corpse as a cudgel in her right hand and a blood-filled skull in her left hand, will arise before you. Do not be afraid. From the southern direction, the yellow Kari, shooting an arrow from a bow. From the west, the red Pramoha, holding a crocodile victory banner, and from the north, the black Vitali, holding a Vajra and blood-filled skull, will arise. From the southeast, the red-yellow Pukasi, holding entrails in her right hand and eating them with her left. From the southwest, the green-black Gasmari, holding a blood-filled skull in her left hand, stirring this with a Vajra in her right hand and drinking awesomely. From the northwest, the white-yellow Kendali, tearing apart the head and body of a bloated corpse, holding the heart in her right hand and eating the body with her left. And from the northeast, the blue-black Smazani, tearing a head and body apart and eating, will arise. These 8 Gari, Madara, who are indicative of the 8 classes of consciousness, will emerge from within your own brain and surround the 5 blood-drinking deities and their consorts. Do not be afraid.
The 21st to 28th day, repeat for 8 days. Natural transformation of the mental constructs associated with the objects of the 8 classes of consciousness. Actions within the pit of cyclic existence. O child of Buddha nature, Rikibu Jinpa, listen without distraction. The 8 Pisaki, who are indicative of the sense objects, will emerge and will appear before you encircling this array. From the east, the dark brown Simhamukhi, lion-headed, her 2 arms crossed on her breast, carrying a corpse in her mouth and shaking her mane. From the south, tiger-headed, the red Vyagrimukhi, her 2 arms crossed, snarling and staring with bulging eyes. From the west, the fox-headed, the black Surgalamukhi, holding a razor in her hand and entrails in her left, eating the entrails and licking the blood. From the north, wolf-headed, the black-blue Svanamukhi, tearing apart a corpse with her 2 arms and staring with bulging eyes. From the southeast, vulture-headed, the white-headed Gridamukhi, carrying a large human corpse over her shoulder and holding a skeleton in both hands. From the southwest, kite-headed, the black-red Kankamukhi, carrying a large corpse over her shoulders. From the northwest, a crow-headed, the black Kakamukhi, holding a skull in her left hand, a sword in her right, and eating a human heart and lungs. And from the southeast, owl-headed, the blue-black Uhukamukhi, holding a Vajra in her right hand, wielding a sword in her left, and eating flesh. These 8 Pisaki, indicative of the sense objects, will emerge from within your brain and arise before you encircling the 5 blood-drinking deities and their consorts. Do not be afraid. Recognize that all arises as the natural expression of the power of awareness manifesting naturally.
The 29th day through the 32nd day. Within the inner gates of the skull, the force of the 4 immeasurable aspirations, and closing the doors of the 4 types of birth. O child of Buddha nature, Rikibu Kunchok Pema Dorje, the 4 female inner gatekeepers will also emerge from within your brain and appear before you. Recognize them. From the eastern direction of your brain, the white horse-headed Ankusa Vajra Tejaji, a blood-filled skull in her left hand. From the south, the yellow sow-headed Pasa Vajramoka, holding a noose. From the west, the red lion-headed Spota Vajraloka, holding an iron chain. And from the north, a green snake-headed Ganta Vajravatali, holding a bell, will instantaneously arise. These, the 4 female inner gatekeepers, will indeed emerge from within your brain and appear before you. Recognize them as they are your own meditational deities.
The 23rd through the 37th day.
Excuse me, I'm not finished.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're right. I'm sorry. Continue.
All right. The 23rd through the 37th day. O child of Buddha nature, Rikibu, on the periphery of these 30 deities who are the wrathful Harukas and their retinues, the 28th Isvari will emerge from within your brain and appear before you. They will have diverse weapons, but do not be afraid. Recognize all that arises as the natural expressive power of awareness, manifesting naturally. Now at this critical point, remember your spiritual teacher's oral instructions. O child of Buddha nature, Rikibu, from the east, the 6 yogini of the east will emerge from within your brain and appear before you. The brownish-white yak-headed Manaraksasi, holding a vajra and a skull. The yellowish-white snake-headed Brahmani, holding a lotus. The greenish-white leopard-headed Rodri, holding a trident. The bluish-white weasel-headed Vaisnavi, holding a wheel. The reddish-white-brown bear-headed Kumari, holding a pike. And the white-black bear-headed Indrani, holding a noose of entrails in her hand. Do not be afraid. O child of Buddha nature, Rikibu, from the south, the 6 yogini of the south will emerge from within your brain and appear before you. The yellow bat-headed Pingala, holding a razor. The reddish-yellow crocodile-headed Santi, holding a vase. The reddish-yellow scorpion-headed Amarta, holding a lotus. The whitish-yellow hawk-headed Solmi, holding a vajra. The greenish-yellow fox-headed Dandy, holding a cudgel. And the blackish-yellow tiger-headed Raksasi, holding a blood-filled skull in her hand. Do not be afraid. O child of Buddha nature, Rikibu, from the west, the 6 yogini of the west will emerge from within your brain and appear before you. The greenish-red vulture-headed Baksasi, holding a club. The red horse-headed Rati, holding a large torso. The pale red Garuda-headed mighty one, Rudhiramati, consort of Mahabala, holding a cudgel. The red dog-headed Ekakarini Raksasi, wielding a vajra razor in her hand. The red hoopoe-headed Manoharika, firing an arrow from a bow. And the greenish red-deered-headed protectress of wealth, Siddhikari, consort of Vasurakasita, holding a vase in her hand. Do not be afraid. O child of Buddha nature, Rikibu, from the north, the 6 yogini from the north will emerge from within your brain and appear before you. The bluish-green snake-headed Vayudevi, brandishing an ensign. The reddish-green ibex-headed Agnayi, holding a glowing firebrand, the blackish-green sow-headed Varahi holding a noose of fangs, the green crow-headed Vajra Kamundi holding an infant human corpse, the blackish-green elephant-headed Bujana holding a club and drinking blood from a skull, and the bluish-green snake-headed Varunani holding a noose of snakes her hand. Do not be afraid. O child of Buddha nature, Rikibu, the four yogini who are the four outer gatekeepers will emerge from within your brain and appear before you. From the east, the white cuckoo-headed Vajra, Mahakali holding an iron hook. From the south, the yellow goat-headed Vajra, Mahakagala holding a noose. From the west, the red lion-headed Vajra, Mahakumbha Karni holding an iron chain. And from the north, the black-green snake-headed Vajra, Lambodara holding a bell in her hand. These four yogini, the female outer gatekeepers, will indeed emerge from within your brain and appear before you. Do not be afraid, since these 28 Isvari emanate naturally from the expressive power of the naturally arising deities, which are the wrathful Herukas. Recognize them now.
Recite each day from 8 to 37. O child of Buddha nature, Rikibu Jinpazang, through the expressive power of emptiness, the Buddha body of reality has arisen as the peaceful deities. Recognize this. Through the expressive power of radiance, the Buddha body of perfect resource has arisen as the wrathful deities. Recognize this. At this time, when the assembly of the 58 blood-drinking deities manifests from within your brain, you should recognize all that arises, the naturally arising luminosity of your own awareness. Then, if recognition occurs, you will immediately attain Buddhahood, inseparable from the blood-drinking deities. O child of Buddha nature, Rikibu Jinpazangpo, if even now you do not recognize this reality and become afraid and turn away from the visionary appearances, you will go on to experience yet further suffering. If recognition does not occur, all the blood-drinking deities will be perceived as Yama. You will be overwhelmed by fear, by awe, and by terror at the sight of the blood-drinking deities, and you will faint. These visionary appearances, which are the natural manifestation of actual reality, will seem to you have become demons, and you will continue to roam in cyclic existence. But even now, if you are not awed and not terrified, you will avoid the continued wandering within cyclic existence. O child of Buddha nature, Rikibu Jinpazangpo, the largest of the Buddha bodies of the peaceful and wrathful deities will be as vast as the sky. The medium ones will be the size of Mount Sumeru, and even the smallest will be the size of the 18 of our bodies, standing one above the other. Do not be afraid. All phenomenal existence is now arising as numinosities and Buddha bodies. By recognizing all the present visionary experiences to be the natural function luminosity of your own awareness, manifesting as lights and Buddha bodies, you will dissolve inseparably within the lights and Buddha bodies, and Buddhahood will be attained. O child of Buddha nature, Rikibu Jinpazangpo, whatever fearful and terrifying apparitions appear to you now, recognize them to be the natural manifestation of actual realities. Do not be afraid. Recognize their appearance as an inner radiance, your own natural luminosity. Upon recognition, you will undoubtedly attain Buddhahood right now. That which is called instantaneous perfect Buddhahood will occur in this very moment. Remember this and hold it in your mind. O child of Buddha nature, Rikibu Jinpazangpo, if you do not recognize this visionary appearance now and continue to be afraid, then all the Buddha bodies of the peaceful deities will arise in the form of Mahakala. All the Buddha bodies of the wrathful deities will arise in the form of Yama, Dharma, Raja, and then all of your perceptions will Turn to malevolent forces. In this way, you will continue to wander in cyclic existence. O child of Buddha nature, Rikibujin Pazangpo, if you do not recognize the present appearance as natural manifestation of actual reality, even though you may have have been learned in all the sutras and tantras, which form the Buddha's transmitted precepts, and even though you may have practiced these doctrines for an eon, Buddhahood will not be attained. Yet if you recognize the visionary appearances that are manifesting naturally, then through the understanding of a single essential point and through the understanding of a single word, you will attain Buddhahood. If immediately after death you do not recognize the appearances which manifest naturally, these appearances will eventually arise in the intermediate state of reality in the form of Yama Dharmaraja. The largest form assumed by Yama Dharmaraja is as vast as space, the medium form the size of Mount Sumeru, filling the world system. Thus, Yama Dharmaraja will appear, his upper teeth biting into his lower lip, his eyes glassy, his hair tied up on the crown of his head, his belly bulging, and his neck thin, brandishing in his hand the wooden slate documenting past actions, his mouth echoing with the cries of strike and kill. He is drinking brains, severing heads, and ripping out internal organs. In this way, he will appear as if his form fills the entire world. O child of Buddha nature, Riki Bujin Pazangpo, when such visions arise, do not be afraid or terrified. Your body is a mental body formed by habitual tendencies. Therefore, even if you are slain and cut into pieces, you will not die. You are in reality a natural form of emptiness, so there's no need to be afraid. The forms of Yama Dharma Raja arise too from the natural luminosity of your intrinsic awareness. They have no material substance. Emptiness cannot be harmed by emptiness. Clearly determine that other than arising from the natural expressive power of your own awareness, whatever seems to appear to you externally, the peaceful and wrathful deities, the blood-drinking Harukas, the diverse animal-headed deities, the rainbow lights, the frightening forms of Yama, etc., these are all without substantial existence. If this is successfully determined, all fear and terror will be liberated naturally, just where it is. You will dissolve inseparably from the visionary appearances, and Buddhahood will be attained. Upon recognizing the visionary appearances in this way, be fervently devoted and think, these are my meditational deities. They have come to escort me on the dangerous pathways of the intermediate state. I take refuge in them. Remember the three precious jewels. Remember your meditational deity, whoever it may be, whichever it may be. Call to your meditational deity by name and pray with the following words. I am roaming in the intermediate state. Come quickly to rescue me. Hold me in your compassion, O precious meditational deity. Call to your spiritual teacher by name and pray within the following words. I am roaming in the intermediate state. Rescue me. Do not let your compassion forsake me. Pray devotedly yet again to the assembly blood-drinking deities and recite this aspirational prayer. Oh, as I roam in a cyclic existence driven by deep-seated habitual tendencies, may the assembly of male peaceful and wrathful deities, transcendent Lord, draw me forward, leading me on the path of radiant light, through which all awesome and terrifying perceptions are left behind. May the assembly of wrathful female deities, Datisvari, and so forth, support me from behind. And thus encircled, may I be rescued from the fearsome passageway of the intermediate state and be escorted to the level and utterly perfect Buddha. Now when I roam alone, separated from my loved one. and myriad images of emptiness arise, naturally manifesting. May the Buddhists quickly release the power of their compassion, and may the fear of awareness and terrifying intermediate states be annulled. When the five radiant lights of pristine cognition dawn, may I recognize them as my own nature without awe and without terror. And as the manifold forms of the peaceful and wrathful deities arise, may I be fearlessly confident and recognize the characteristics of the intermediate state. When I experience suffering as a result of negative past actions, may the meditational deities dispel all such misery. And as the natural sound of reality reverberates like 1,000 peals of thunder, may all sounds be heard as the resonance of the 6 syllables Om Mani Padme Hum. When I am driven by past actions, unable to find a refuge, may the great compassionate one, Mahakarunika, protect me. And as I experience these suffering and habitual tendencies and past actions, may the meditative stabilities of inner radiance and bliss naturally arise. May the fields of the 5 elements not arise as hostile forces. And may I see them as the fields of the 5 enlightened families. Do you want me to go back and repeat that whole thing 3 times?
No,
Okay.
just go ahead and recite the last
Okay.
part.
Okay. Recite this aspirational prayer with deep devotion. It's very important. As all fear and terror dissolve, you will assuredly attain Buddhahood in the Buddha body of perfect resource. And do not be distracted. Here the it's your okay. Is that the end? You want me to continue with the next page?
No,
Here
that's
past
it.
okay.
So at this point now, we would begin the recitation of the Om Mani Padme Hum Shri and be visualizing that the light from each of the syllables is being energized by the Shri syllable in the center. And that the light of the Om, the white light of the Om, is going to the God realm beings. The light from the Shri syllable is going to the Ma, with radiating green light that goes to the jealous gods. The yellow light is energized and goes to the human realm beings, and the blue light, the light blue light, goes to the animal realms, and the red light goes to the anguished spirit or the hungry ghost realms, and the dark blue black light goes to the hell beings, all being energized from the Shri syllable, which is the primal cause for liberation to all these beings. So we recite this with the melody of Gotcha Rinpoche has shared with us. So we'll do that for a short 21 times. Om Mani Padme Hum Shri. 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 Om Mani Padme Padme Hum Shri. Om Mani 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 Padme Hum Shri. Now visualize the dissolution of the Om Mani Padme Hum, the 6 syllables dissolving into the Shri syllable, and the Shri syllable dissolving into the emptiness, into the heart center of the deceased one, and all beings in the 6 realms. And all beings dissolving into the emptiness, into the shunyata. Take a few moments, dissolve the Shri syllable into the emptiness. Take a deep breath and hold it. Exhale and hold it. Stay relaxed. Open your eyes. So that completes part 2. And this last prayer that we read, that Bernie read, on page 141. So this is now applying, really, the Chud practice. This whole thing with the wrathful deities and visualizing these fierce deities that are consuming us, chopping us up, a human being chopping their bodies and so on like that, and being fed to these different meditational deities and so on is really an expression of the Chud practice. So that's why the Bardo Thodol really is a practical application of so many of the different practices that we do to be able to prepare ourselves for liberation. That the motivation for all these practices, all the things that we learn, the Dharma, the jewel ornament of liberation, and so on, is the academic part. And then these practices of like the Chud and so on are the practical applications of being able to dissolve our body, to be able to dissolve our being and so on, and dissolve the cosmos and so on into the emptiness, into the shunyata, to the source of all of that. So that prayer from 141 on, those instructions are so very important. And then, if we haven't at that point been able to recognize the significance of that practice, then we fall further into being reborn into a body, falling into a body. So part 3 is what we studied, we talked about a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago or so, when we were talking about choosing a body, choosing a womb, and someone like that, and then being reborn as a being, whether it's a human being or an animal or a reptile or a bird or whatever. So putting this all together is a complete way of understanding how it is that we come into life and how it is that we exit life and how it is that we can remain in as Buddha nature and so on. So please, do you have any comments or questions?
Okay, let's see.
And so I guess one that easily comes to mind is why there is not equal number of wrathful and peaceful deities. I mean, you're probably in better position to tally them up. We don't have, like, I don't have them easily like laid out, but can you say something about this? Like, they're supposed to match, right?
Not necessarily, no. What matches are the peaceful deities and the Harukas match because the Harukas are the wrathful emanations or the fierce emanations of the peaceful deities. But the other deities, the Matara and the Pisachi and the Isvara and so on are all associated, support to that, and are ordinary beings that we might meet that have some degree of realization, that speak of wisdom and so on to help us through the passage of being able to rescue ourselves or allow us to go back to the peaceful deities, to get back to the peaceful deities, or to get back to the Haruka deities. So we have many opportunities to rescue ourselves, to recognize that, to remember that. So these different deities are helping us to do that. So to precisely, the peaceful deities that are in the heart center and the Haruka, the main deities, that's an equal number. But past that, then it's many other beings that are present to be able to help us to recognize our true nature and to recognize what our troubles are, to recognize what our obstacles are, and each of them has an antidote, if you will, for those troubles, to be able to help us to overcome those troubles so that we can purify ourselves. We can continue the purification to be able to get back to the peaceful deities. So that's the way I look at it. So another point is we talk about the top down and we talk about the bottom up. So Carl Jung made the very strong point about as we are ordinary beings and we're learning this, to learn it from the bottom up. So first we enter the courtyard of the mandala, of the palace. And then we meet all these Ishvari, all these deities, all these skyfarers, all these female deities that are there to help us and so on. And then we go through the gates and we meet the gatekeepers who are more or less testing our resolve and testing our understanding of the process through each of these gates. And then through those gates, then we enter in and start going up through the levels of the Pisachi and the Matara, and then get to the Haruka class of deities. So from the bottom up, we're moving in that direction. From the top down, they're keeping us from going further away from the Bardo of reality, and they're trying to bring us back.
So can we say that from some other point of view, the experience of wrathful deities, or at least some of them, is almost like going through hell realms?
No.
Or that is like preview of the hell realm if you happen to be there.
It's not. There is that part of it that talks about the hell realms, but there are Buddhas there, the sages, the six sage Buddhas are there who are as peaceful deities to help those beings in there and so on. But the wrathful deities are not hell beings. They're not meant to be able to be our how do you say
Tormentors or like
our tormentors. Yes, thank you. They're not there to be our tormentors in any way. They're there to rescue from our own torment, because it is our demons. We create our own demons, and they are there to enlighten us, to bring light into the darkness of the hell beings and so on, to help so that we can rescue ourselves. We can accept the help of the sages and ultimately be rescued and attain enlightenment. Of course, that would take more lifetimes.
If I could say something very general about the difference between peaceful and wrathful deities, generally, enlightenment consists of the perfection of both compassion and wisdom. Generally, the peaceful deities are associated more with compassion, although they have both have both. The peaceful deities are more the expression of compassion, and the wrathful deities are more the expression of wisdom. The reason why they appear wrathful is that wisdom is threatening to our ego, and therefore it appears to us as something terrifying.
That makes sense. Thank you.
So there's more wisdom awareness of the process. Is that? Would you say that?
Well, different deities are the expression of different qualities of the enlightened nature. They have them all, but like Manjushri is more associated with wisdom, so his appearance is more associated with wisdom, and Chenrezig more with compassion, so his appearance represents more compassion. The wrathful deities are strongly associated with wisdom, so they have the appearance that wisdom presents to an enlightened being, which that is something threatening because it threatens our ego. Therefore, they appear to us as threatening and wrathful beings.
So where do you think the work is being done? is the work being done in the, you know, the great expanse, or is the work being done within each one of ourselves?
Well, it says very clearly in the text that the deities are merely emanations of our own intrinsic awareness, that they come from our, that the deities are present in each of the chakras in our different chakras in our body, and they're the exterior manifestation of the forces that are already working within us. Because as it says in the Mahayana, that the seeds of enlightenment, Buddha nature, are already present within us. So the different deities that manifest during the intermediate state are merely the outer expression of this internal Buddha nature that we all possess. That's how I understand it. I might be wrong, but that's how I understand it.
How does it land on you, Brendan and Alex? What do you think about that question? Or you want me to rephrase it?
If we believe that the mind is prime over matter, then it is all in the mind, right? Then that's where all this is going on. That would be the enlightened answer. It can be hard to accept that, but that doesn't mean it's not true.
Well, the point I'm trying to get to is, do you think that do we wait until we eject our consciousness at the time of death, and we wait until that time to become enlightened? Or do we go through the process of being on the cushion and being enlightened in this body?
We should want this in this body. We should want to become enlightened in this body.
Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah, I guess it's you're trying to ask us if it's more conducive to get to enlightenment sitting in your own room in a quiet place. I do agree. Then in the presence of these wrathful deities as huge as the space or sky or mountain Meru. And yeah, I think I seen those visions sometimes in my dreams. It's not fun. It does. Knocks your wits out.
So
Better to
that
be
question,
prepared.
I'm sorry, somebody was saying?
I was saying is better be prepared. Come prepared.
So Bernie, back to
Ready.
you, that question back to you, do you think that, you know, are we making a choice in the living Bardo, in this Bardo now, are we making a choice how much we prepare ourselves and, if, or how much we rely on our karma, whatever, that all this gets liberated, in the bardo of reality? Are we stable for that? Are we ready for that? Or are we preparing ourselves to enter the bardo of reality and remain in that bardo of reality because of our preparation?
Well, if I recall what I've been told is that the best way to prepare for the bardo is to have strong devotion to one Yidam deity, to practice one Yidam deity and be devoted to that deity. And then in the intermediate state, at some point that meditational deity will arise. And because of your strong karmic connection with that deity, you'll be liberated through the vision of that particular deity. I suppose since most of us are practicing peaceful deities, that would be one of the bodhisattvas or Buddhas that one practices. So that's what I recall as the best preparation. Of course, there's all sorts of practices. I mean, there's all sorts of practices that one can do to prepare for the intermediate state, but in general, your typical person who, not a person of superior abilities, would do best just by the repeated practice of their own Yidam deity.
And I want to say, if you kind of recall, like Christian lore and Christian mythology about dying, and I mean, it's not so much mythology really, but it does take, like, if you devote it to Jesus, you will, the time of death, you will meet Jesus, and by the devotion, he will take you up in through the realms, and to elevated states of consciousness or heaven or whatever.
Well, how
So
literal do you take that? And how literal do you take it that these deities are lifting you up? How does that work? I think in the Bardo Thodol, this is all symbolic. And is in the Christian sense, is that symbolic? Or is it literal that Jesus appears and takes us to heaven and introduces us or whatever to God?
well, I mean, I think here is it more symbolic, but as described, but each of us will see whatever we perceive according to our propensities. I mean, right? So, and same as like whatever who you devoted to, like that, whoever you are meditating on, the image of that deity or bodhisattva will appear in your mind, because you have created this habit of and power of focusing your mind and visualization of that. So it's part of the creation of your mind. But it's also, I guess, attracting the energies that are vibrating in similar way to your own, and that helps you take you on that path.
So, Brendan, how would you answer that question? What do you think about that? Because you have a strong Christian background. What do you think about that?
My answer is it depends on who you talk to. That's my honest answer. Um, I'm going to talk about the Roman Catholic Christian tradition that I grew up in, which my understanding of history is, along with Alex's Russian Orthodox and Greek Orthodox, we are the original Christians. But not to be too controversial, but in Catholic Christianity, there is the three last things: death, judgment, heaven, or hell, and then purgatory, where you go if you need to have your sins purged so that eventually you can go to heaven and be with God. Now, in the Orthodox tradition, Alex, tell me if I'm wrong, purgatory is more like a cleansing fire, right? In one instance, you're cleansed and then you can go to heaven. Um, I know people who take that very seriously and believe that this is absolutely a literal thing that your soul, immortal soul, will go through. And you will not be reincarnated. And you're going to spend eternity in heaven or hell. I don't believe that personally, but I know a lot of people that do. So that's my honest answer.
So, do you see, what we've been studying with the Bardo Thodol as a step beyond, the belief structure of the church, whether it's the Roman Catholic or it's the Greek Orthodox or Russian Orthodox?
I'm trying to cultivate a sense of non-dualism. So my brain wants to say, well, no, it's not that, it's this, or it's not Christianity, it's Buddhism. But that whole dualism is what, as Buddhists, we're trying to get away from in the first place. And so I try to keep more of an open mind. I see what we were discussing today. I mean, I mentioned earlier, I said, yeah, I want to be enlightened. I want to be enlightened right now. But do I really want to be enlightened? And I've had this thought experiment. What if I somehow came into $9 million and didn't have to work and could live on the beach? And would I really spend my time meditating, or would I spend my time at the bar and talking to women, right? And like, what do I really want to spend my time doing? And I think eventually, if you had all of that pleasure and all of that fun, it would get bored. You'd say, well, wait a minute, there's something missing. I have a curiosity about what happens when we die. I have a curiosity about, well, what is really the nature of reality. So yeah, sometimes I want to be enlightened, but sometimes I just want an easy life and have the comforts and to amuse my monkey mind. So I'm being honest, and that's something I struggle with.
Well, that's very provocative. That's a very interesting way to put it.
And our monkey mind doesn't just gravitate towards vice, it also gravitates towards anxiety and worry and all of these things, because we're so afraid that we're going to lose our ability to have money and buy dinners out and that sort of thing. So it's so to me, the wrathful deities, this is an antidote to that. I mean, they have such a fearsome appearance. Aren't they telling us there's really nothing to be afraid of, especially these anxieties we put on ourselves in the pursuit of our pleasure? So that's kind of where my mind was going tonight.
And sometimes monkey mind tells us, oh, we're not sure what happens after death. and what if there is something terrible? Then I better go and read out some scriptures. And we do some of that, and not very long, and then we'll find ourselves doing totally different. But
What do you think?
hopefully we go enough rounds to learn something good.
Do you think that the torment of death, or being in death, the afterworld, whatever you want to call it, the torment is worse than the torment we put ourselves through in as ordinary human beings? Do you think that there's this punishment or something like that? Or is there this heaven, where we're just exalted and we live like kings and princes and gods and so on?
Sounds
Or
like the Pure Land.
or do you think of it as just black? Nothing.
To me, I think like if we accept that somehow, quote unquote, consciousness or our spirit or whatever, like, survives death of a physical body, I mean, its habits and accumulations and qualities do not immediately dissolve. We sort of carry them with us. So they continue to act upon ourselves. So if we create hell for ourselves on earth, we're gonna sure find our way to hell in the next Bardo, and the other way around. So, but good thing, I think this scripture tells us, even in the Bardo, there are some opportunities to turn our mind, to switch the state of our mind, uh, and sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's harder. But maybe good thing about what we're learning now is, yeah, there may be some of the opportunities there that brings us, like, shake us up, so that we finally switch our attitude, switch our mindset.
Bernie, let me ask you, do you think that's a fair question?
Uh, the question being that how literal should we take all this? Is that the question or what?
Yeah, is there, do we think, or should we think that there's a punishment realm that we go into, or is there an exaltation realm that we go
Well,
into, or is it just blackness? Is there nothing?
well, I'm pretty convinced that the mind is primary and matter is secondary. So I really think that the mind is a continuous stream that doesn't end with death. Of that, I'm pretty sure. Now, the exact nature of what will happen to us, I obviously have no personal knowledge of that, so I would have to take that on faith. I think this text, the Bardo Thodol, is partially symbolic and it's not to be taken completely literally, but I do think that there's an intermediate state. I think that since we're so attached to our body, once we lose our body, the desire to find another one is going to be pretty overpowering. And the more attached we are to our body, the stronger and more desperate the search will, and less pleasant the search will be. So, but beyond that, I really cannot say.
Does this study that we've had of the Bardo Total, does it help each of you to explain your causes and conditions, your personal causes and conditions?
What do you mean by causes and conditions?
Well, your situation, the
My
situation in
situation.
which you were born, the situation in which,
Uh,
all the different things that, you're exposed to and the way that you react to them and so on. Do you see that, that this elucidation of this process is valid?
I really can't say that I really click with the Bardo Tolgo. I say, this is the way it has to be, because there's nothing in my personal experience of my life that really directly connects with this. I don't have any experience of seeing visions of deities in front of me. That's not part of my what has happened to me in my practice of meditation. I do strongly believe that in previous life, and I believe that what's happened to me life is very much connected with my previous life, because from an early age I felt a connection with Buddhism that I didn't feel with other traditions, and I think that has to have come from elsewhere, not only with Buddhism, other things I felt strongly connected with. In my youth, I believe that's a remnant of my commitments from previous lives, although I obviously cannot say anything definite about them. So it didn't depend on any particular experience in my life. It was just something that was just naturally there. It's something that was there to be awakened. So in that sense, I definitely feel that there are previous lives and there will be a next one. Now, what my personal history of that is, I could not particularly say. What happens to me between lives, I obviously have no personal memory or experience of that. So I have to take all this as something that is useful, but not something that I really feel a direct and strong connection with. The same way I might feel connection with other parts of the Buddhist tradition, like the practice of meditation, or some of the things that Buddha said in his scripture that really appeal to me. But certainly it's something worth studying. It's something I appreciate knowing more about, because it really lays out the whole structure of the deities that's present within the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, not just the five Buddha families, but their relationships with all the different wrathful deities, the Herukas and the Dakinis. So it's interesting from that standpoint. And there, of course, are other cycles of teachings, the Hivadra and the Chakrasamvara. So I'm sure there's a lot of useful stuff in those traditions too, but I haven't been offered the chance to study those particular traditions in any great detail, while the Bardo Thodol, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, is more freely open and one can understand these cycles of deities better through the Bardo Thodol, but I'm pretty sure that you'll find similar descriptions in the other tantras as well. I don't know if that answers
do you
your
think that
question.
there's a psychology to this, and that to try and objectify it with these images of these beings becomes a trap? But
Well,
it's the
Carl
psychology
Jung,
aspect of the mind, of what the human mind is and how it works. That's what the ultimate lesson is here.
well, Carl Jung felt a very strong attraction to these teachings and commented on them. I can't say I'm not a student of psychology, and as you know, my background is in physics and astronomy, so I can't really speak to that. Uh, the general idea is that I understand of psychology is that we have the side of our personality that we accept, and there's the side of our personality that repress, partially because our culture demands it, and partially because out of a sense of shame, we don't want to admit to everything that we feel or desire. So, in a sense, you can say that what happens to us in the death intermediate state is the return of all this repressed content, which we have sort of bottled up during our lifetime, and that manifests as something threatening to us as wrathful forms. That's partially the way that I understand it. So what we don't accept appears to us as an enemy. What we do accept appears to us as a friend, and we have an easier time ex, ex, uh, accepting emotions that we admire, like love and charity and so forth. And we have a harder time accepting the negative sides of our personality, the greed and the anger and so on, that we all know is present, but we have a hard time admitting is there. So we have that dichotomy between what we are willing to accept and what we are not willing to accept, and the one appears as threatening and the other appears as attractive. So I really can't say anything more about it than that.
So let me ask Alex that question, maybe putting it in terms of, there's a psychology, but there's also a physiology, and your work, your neuroscientific mind and so on, the work that you do, does that support the physiological over the psychology, or, how do you integrate those two? What do you think about that?
Well, at first, I would like to uh, come from more experiential point of view. Um, in my, let's say, practice of martial arts, for example, um, you go through these experiences where your instructor or teacher is very fierce towards you, and sometimes you don't even expect it, but they come very direct and uh, like they mean like they do mean it. And yeah, of course you respect them as your teachers and you don't want to upset them, So you are in this sometimes state of fear, but at the same time, you have to recognize what they're doing is to help you, to make you stronger, make you more resilient, and lose some weird habits maybe that you have, or some idiosyncrasies, or make you pay more attention. So you do learn how to tolerate it and accept it, and think of them as your teachers, as your you know, uh, somebody who is you deeply respect. At the same time, they are kind of maybe temporarily hostile to you, you know, and you learn to accept it, and you learn to digest it, and you learn to um, take it on the path, so to speak. So I have went through several experiences like that, number of ones. So that Bardo Thodol it kind of is basically about the same thing, just in a different state there, from what I recognize. So that's one thing I want to say. The other thing is regarding the basic neurobiology, if you want to say, we like in literature there is now a term called engram. This is kind of encoded perception of reality. Well,
How do you
think of
spell that? How do you spell that?
engram, engram, and engram. So it's something that's like engraved in your neural networks, in your parts of brain there. So like PTSD. What is PTSD? Something terrible happened to persons, and little thing triggers this experience that's like coming back as a flashback. So the same thing happens in Bardo Thodol. I think that whatever we have, this activation of our internal accumulations that going to be triggered, and they're released one by one. So we come to face them. That what this book tells me, that these corners of our brain, the different folds of our brain, where we have these experiences stored and ingrained, they are, I mean, we recognize now that they're not permanent. Some of them are quite strongly engraved, but there are ways to decode them and sort of like release all this neuronal bundle connection, so then it no longer overpowers you.
In a
But
physiological manner? Is that what you're saying?
yes, in physiological manner, even in physiological manner.
So
So
how is that done? I mean, through chemicals or through electric impulses, or how is that done?
yes, so there are different neuromodulators, you can say that, and some of them are present in mushrooms, for example. Some of them actually naturally produced, like, for
So it's
example,
chemical. So you're saying the
chemicals.
chemicals.
Yes, there are neurochemicals that are present in our brain or released by our glands, endocrine system, that help, you know, activate different modes of operation when we build something in terms of like connections, or we destroy this connection or losing them. So all these processes are very tightly regulated and controlled, and there are a number of things that affect them, One of them being love. Oxytocin is, they call love molecule, and when it's present, there is whole new capacity for remodeling all this
How do you
neural
spell that
networks.
word? How do you spell that word?
Oxytocin,
Oh,
oxytocin,
toxin.
Oxytocin.
oxytocin. Yes, oxytocin. O
TOC or TOX?
Oxytocin.
Okay, thank you. So we're talking about chemical stuff, but can psychologically can the can these things be managed psychologically, or is it strictly in the physical realm?
I think they're well, they're connected. So, like, if we bring ourselves in certain psychological state, that affects our body. So then these hormones or these neurochemicals are produced. Or if we don't have enough of them, we may not be able to bring us from one state to another state. Like if you don't have enough of dopamine, for example, we're going to be lying there in bed and not able to get up and do something,
So there's a relationship between the physical, the psychological, causing reactions with each other and so on. It's
Indeed,
like a
yeah,
reciprocation or something like that.
right,
If you need more of the chemical, the the psychology can help you to produce that.
yeah,
But if you're psychologically, if you're showing, illness or impairment or something, that the introduction of the chemical, through some means, through a pill or something like that, can have an effect on that side too.
exactly, yes.
And what about, with genetics? Can is there a genetic root, or is there a genetic connection that can be corrected or altered in some way? Is
Yeah, I mean, yes, if you have, uh, there are, for example, now many deficiencies in nervous system, like for people who are prone to depression or maybe, you know, um, well, variety of uh, mental conditions. Uh, a lot of them are linked to genes. So if certain parts of this chain of the reaction is not working perfectly, you'll have to struggle a little more, or quite a deal more. So that mechanism from psychology to biology, it's all mediated by how well our gene works. So, and if you have some deficiency in your genes, yeah, you're gonna have a harder times. So, and they can be, yeah, now with genetic manipulation and gene therapy and all that, that can also be helped, in some instances if
so these
you're
are all
careful.
part of causes and conditions for our personality or whatever.
Yes. So,
So, Brendan, you have any comment about this? What do you think about this?
I find this stuff so fascinating, and I've got some bad potato famine genes from Ireland, and Alex has got some Russian Civil War genes, and I can't imagine how bad our ancestors' genes have messed us up. That's
yeah,
my
and it's
opinion.
not
But
just
also,
genes.
but also, I mean, you're really a good person,
Well,
and you're
thank you.
very evolved and aware person.
Thank
So
you.
there's some good things that were happening in past lives or whatever, to give you the blessings that you have now.
I'd agree with that. I want to hear. Alex was going to say something else interesting. I want to hear
I'm
what he.
sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, that's all right.
Continue.
Well, I was just gonna say, like you mentioned, potato gene and all that,
Yeah.
and famine. The, there is epigenetic information on top of actual genes that we have. So our DNA is not wiped totally, as we inherited from mother and father. So there is some quote unquote code on top of those genes. Um,
What was that word?
that's not
Epigenetic?
Yes,
Epigenetics.
epigenetic. So there are certain modifications on actual genetic material, this you know
The
basis.
genes, the genes can be switched on and off by other
Yes,
molecules attaching to them. And whether
right,
they're switched on or off isn't strictly heredity. It's something which is partially the environment as well.
right.
So,
So it can affect through several generations sometimes, but yeah,
uh, yeah, actually, yeah, you 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 not only inherit the genetics, you also inherit the epigenetics, at least from your father. That's what I've read, maybe from your mother too. So yeah,
yeah. No,
things.
you there are certain vulnerable times, or more like we could say sensitive times. So it's different in the mother and different in the father. So yeah, but you carry not just genes, but also experiences that mother and father had uh, in their lifetime that will affect how these genes work. So are they upregulated or downregulated or totally turned off and so on. So there's a lot of and people keep finding and there is couple different layers of this epigenetic information that can uh, transpire. So yeah, people finding so many different things these days. But I think what we need to do is make best out of this. I think if we can. We all have some weird things in our history that we have to deal with.
So we don't have a lot of time left in this 2 hour period, but I want to try and wrap things together in a way to say this whole notion of liberation. What do you think about that? What are
That's
we
very
trying to liberate from? And are the sciences that Alex was talking about, is that a viable method for liberation, or are those things symptomatic of what it is that we want to be liberated from, and that the underwriting experience of the Bardo Thodol, being able to understand that liberation is that we create our imprisonment, and we also can manifest our liberation from the imprisonment. So, Brendan, did you want to say something?
Are you referring to the substances that Alex was talking about earlier, like LSD and mushrooms and that sort of thing? Whether they're a hindrance, or should we try to be liberated from them as Buddhists, or can they be an aid towards enlightenment? Is that the question?
Well, that can be a specific question towards that end, yeah, but I think I'm aiming more at the psychological aspect of this, that without the need of those things, that we can do this naturally, and and that's what the Bardo Thodol is really teaching us how to do that, through its symbology and so on.
Okay. And then we had Timothy Leary, who actually wrote a book based on the Bardo Total about acid, but
Well, the
I'll,
psychedelic experience.
right,
Yeah, I
exactly.
read it many times.
So I'm going to speak as someone who has never, ever in my life done acid or mushrooms. but I'm pro acid and mushrooms. I think that they, based on what I've read, they can be a tool towards enlightenment. But as Alan Watts said, once you get the call, the message, hang up the phone. So I've read that you do it once to kind of see the map, to understand that this is true, and then after that, you don't do it again. It's all meditation. I mean, that's one thing that I've read on the topic, which
Well, I think that's true. And my experience was, I was very mindful about how many times I did mushrooms and things like that.
yeah,
And, but the first time was the best time, and I didn't need to do it any time after that. But the zeitgeist, at that time was to let's go deeper, But I didn't have the benefit of the Dharma at that time.
right,
But it opened up my mind. That's the cliche. It opens your mind, and you see what's possible, and then to make it valid, then to be able to reproduce that result not through meditation, and that's what I was able to do. I didn't look at the experience as a recreational experience. I looked at it very seriously. And I read as many books as I could and talked to as many people as I could about the seriousness of it, and how to approach that and so
right,
Yeah, I want to share that although I never um, like took any uh, reasonable doses of these things. I had a friend who actually had his own challenges. He a really smart guy, but like I had to visit him in one of the mental institution while we were both learning chemistry and physics. He got out of it. He became a professor here of physical chemistry, and did some great interesting things. And while doing that, he grew his own mushrooms and consumed some of the plants that he was growing, and they sort of helped him to put himself on some reasonable track. He was very methodical about it, actually. So he took it as a tool, to deal with whatever past experiences that he had, or maybe to deal with reality that sometimes was overwhelming to his nervous system. And um, anyhow, he right now he is liberated himself by not doing too much science. He's driving Uber and writing poems and reading what he needs to be, what he's interested at, and feeling quite happy.
So you
So,
think that's a form of liberation? He's living a form of a liberated life?
well, at least that's what he thinks of himself. So that's most
And that's the
important.
most important part, isn't it?
Yes, yes. So, and I mean, uh, sometimes we have to do things by fate, and sometimes we have to do things by choice. And well, I my understanding, the reason to get more wisdom is so that we have more ways to exercise our choices. And
Or to simplify our choices.
or yeah, or simplify our choices, yes, or not make confusing choices. Yeah. So um and the more wisdom you have, the better choices you will have. So So like in this context, yes, if you know what you're going to be dealing with once the body disintegrates, that sort of affects your choices. So that I think of liberation not as like a freedom, but liberation is in terms of like empowering you to do something um, that's that's meaningful for your own condition. You know, are you stuck in the condition where you now, or you now have a freedom to move on somewhere? You know, so we all have certain liberties, but liberties and freedom is very different things. Yeah. Can we exercise our liberties that is in the best of our true interest, true benefit to us, then we are empowered, you know, for better. Otherwise, our liberties will bring us into greater imprisonment and restrict our choices sometimes.
Well, we have a few minutes left. Bernie, you have any comments you'd like to make?
Yeah, since all this is you hear over and over again about being liberated and attaining the state of Buddhahood, maybe I should say something about what that is. Of course, it's usually Buddhahood's usually defined as the total development of all the positive qualities that exist within our nature and the elimination of all the negative qualities. Chief among those negative qualities is ignorance, the tendency we have to see things not as they are, but how we would like them to be, or how we are afraid that they might, or how we are afraid they might be. Uh, so yeah, basically the idea first is to overcome ignorance, and the chief way, there are many methods for doing that, but chief among them is simply by looking at your own mind. Simply by looking at your own mind, it eventually becomes clear what the mind is beyond our preconceptions of what the mind is, and that seeing that is just the beginning of liberation. And so when it says that we see these beings during these wrathful and peaceful beings, and we understand their nature, we understand that really that all that exists is really the projection of our mind, and that is really a very high uh, understanding, difficult to achieve in this life, but perhaps a little easier in the intermediate state because they say it's possible. But basically, we're overcoming the illusion of the separateness between self and other. And the other manifests as our environment, and the self manifests as our ego. And once we see that the two are an inseparable unity, that constitutes the birth of enlightenment. That's all I would want to say.
Thank you for sharing.
Very good. Thank you.
Great way to end it.
Brendan, do you have any comments you'd like to make?
I just want to thank Bernie. That was a great way to wrap it up.
Very good. Okay, so if we can turn to in our Bardo Thodol book, if we can go to page 218 and 219 and wrap it up in a spiritual, scriptural, orthodox way. So if we can read this together, page 218. Through the compassion of Samantabhadra and the infinite, peaceful, and wrathful deities, by the power of the truth of pure reality, and by the blessing of the mantrans who practice one pointedly, may every wish of this aspirational prayer be fulfilled. Samaya, may all be auspicious. and 219. Mangalam Sri Zala Zambupipa Alankar Bhavantu. By the virtue of this Dharma work, may all sentient beings be free from suffering and attain enlightenment. Sarva Mangalam. May all beings and activities be auspicious for the benefit of the enlightenment of all sentient beings. Om, Ah, Hong. Om, Ah, Hong. Om, Ah, Hong. May my body, speech, and mind become inseparable with the body, speech, and mind of all the enlightened ones for the benefit of all sentient beings. Well, thank you very much, guys. You've been with us the whole time, and I really appreciate it. I think it's wonderful, and we had many good conversations, and thank you. I hope everyone benefits. Wonderful.
Thank you for
Thank
leading
you too,
us.
Lance. Thank
Yeah.
you very much for
Welcome.
leading this course.
Thank you. And so I think it would be appropriate to start with the King of Samadhi Sutra next time and start studying that. So I think you should have books on that, translations that I sent to you. If you don't, let me know, and I'll see to it that you get them. But it should be it's one of these yellow books, and this particular sutra has 5 of these books in it. So the first one is book 1 of 5 we're going to start with, and so on, and really, and through this try and understand what samadhi is, what the mind, is in these terms.
That's
So
going to be
thank
great.
you. Thank you. And Alex, thank you very much for these words. I wrote them down. I'm gonna do a study on these 3 words that you brought to us. So thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
let me know if
Epigenetic, engram, and oxytocin.
Oxytocin, right?
yes, it's our neuro vocabulary.
Yes. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good,
All right.
goodbye.
Have a
Bye.
good
Bye,
night.
everybody.
Bye.
Sure.